next hour, now even small-town cops are getting bomb-resistant war trucks that have been used in Iraq for the battle with the American people. The Washington Post crowdsources gun violence stories for Sandy Hook anniversary for another push to now turn Christmas into demonization of guns, even though violent crime is down using firearms. We're going to be going over all that. I'm going to go right back to your calls, or to your calls here in just a moment, right into the next hour. Briefly, don't forget, this Christmas, if you'd like to give the gift of awakening people with documentary films, books, liberty-based pro-Second Amendment apparel, there is a culture war going on versus individualism and freedom and those that want to push slavery. And we have the very best health-type products and supplements, the best, in my opinion, coffee in the world from northern areas of Guatemala into southern Mexico, mainly southern Mexico. In fact, this batch of coffee is from southern Mexico. Sometimes we can't get it. We'll go over into in the future, but bag it and point that out from Guatemala. And it's my favorite type of coffee. InfoWarsLife.com. We have the Survival Shield, nascent iodine, proprietary. We have the Fluoride Shield that adds 5 other key compounds known to strip the poison out of the body with the Survival Shield. And then we also have the Super Male Vitality, but it probably will sell out by today. So that's all available at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com. And it also helps fund our operation in the face of the globalists. We couldn't do it without you voting with your dollars. And they are taking it down, I'm told, in about 10 minutes, the 20% off with promo code WATER20 on all the ProPure systems. This is your last chance to get 20% off on the best gravity-fed filters out there that cut out the fluoride, the glyphosates, all of it. That's InfoWarsStore.com, promo code WATER20 on the ProPure systems. And I told them take it off, but during the break they told me they haven't taken it off. I said, wait 15 minutes and then pull it. So you got 15 minutes if you want to get 20% off with promo code WATER. Don't procrastinate. Start filtering your water today with a true water filter, not these other filters that don't really cut anything out. This is what I use. It is high quality. InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, Troy in Missouri, first caller of the day, one of many. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, it's Troy from St. Louis. I just want to let you know, I've been listening since 2006, mainly on WWCR at 9, but also on the podcast. You should get a St. Louis affiliate. Anyway, everything crazy that's going on that you see today, I mean, everything. I don't know if I know you're aware of it, but I don't know if I've actually heard you say that this is just a spiritual war that's going on, and everything is like a physical manifestation of the spiritual war that we're all a part of.
No, that's it. I mean, you cannot have a children's hospital charity that's Christian put an ad on and say, help us take care of sick kids, because anything Christian is offensive. No, these people blocking us from access to the airwaves is offensive. And this is how Hitler started in Germany against groups he was going after, was banning them from advertising. First they shut you up, then they work your ass to death, then they kill you. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, yeah, and see, I have a little bit different take on it than I think maybe you or some other people might. I don't think that the Constitution is the answer, because the Constitution isn't the problem. Satan is the problem. And the worst kind of lie that people tell themselves, and I see it every day, is the lie that you tell yourself. So if you're going to lie to yourself, what would stop you from lying to other people? The answer is Jesus Christ, the Spirit of Jesus Christ. I mean, if people aren't going to obey God's ways, why would anyone think that people are going to obey man's law?
No, I hear you. But if you're going to have a rule of law, it should be based on God's law out of the Bible. And that's what I believe the Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, and Constitution is. And that's why the devil's forces attack that document perpetually. So I'm going to come back to you, because I want to continue discussing this, Troy.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at InfoWars.com/show.
Person giving hand signs for the hearing impaired at the old Mandela Communism Worship Fest. Well, now they're saying the interpreter at Mandela event, I was hallucinating visions of angels. Well, I'm sure the angels were arriving to fight all the devils that were there. The man accused of fake sign interpretation while standing alongside world leaders like U.S. President Obama and Nelson Mandela's memorial service said he saw angels at the event and had been violent in the past and suffers from schizophrenia. It's just like, I mean, that's about who follows all this stuff is just completely out of their mind, people. Like, can you imagine trying to wake that guy up and explain to him the con game? Can you imagine the people that are going and buying Obamacare because the sexiest man alive is promoting it? Quote, sexiest man alive. Listen, I've got this caller here, Troy in St. Louis, and I get this a lot from my Christian friends. They'll say, man, you need to focus on God, on Jesus, and not on the temporal things that are happening here. And of course, anything of this world is going to end up being evil. Well, you know, they misinterpret Romans 13 to say do whatever the government says. But really, if you read that whole chapter, I've had a lot of preachers who I respect on the subject. It's like when Christ, you know, said, should we pay taxes? And others said this, well, who's on the coin? It's Caesar. It's his. So, yeah, it's his system. Come out of Babylon. Come out of that system as much as you can. But no one's perfect. You know, we're born on this world. We're of the flesh. I'm not going to turn this into an ecclesiastical debate. I just know my heart loves justice and loves God. And there's a lot of people that only go to church and say that's the answer and pray all day, and I don't see them out confronting any evil anywhere. That's an overgeneralization, but we need to stop hiding in the churches like our forebears did and take down the New World Order. The Constitution isn't perfect, but it's diametrically opposed to everything the globalists want to do. That's why they're going after it. And the Constitution is nothing compared to the Declaration of Independence or Bill of Rights, which themselves point out this doesn't give you your rights. They're God-given by our Creator. So I see the ideas enshrined in that. It doesn't matter if those men weren't fully fulfilling it. Those ideas could be fulfilled and are the blood of liberty. Now, you got about a minute and a half before we go to break. I'm going to come back in a long segment, go to everybody else. But, Troy, make your point.
Okay, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Constitution. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that we're ultimately supposed to be living in a kingdom where the King of Kings and the Lord of all the lords on the earth, he's our benevolent ruler. And so, I mean, if you think about it, is the Constitution the answer for the people of China or Brazil or Ireland or Australia or Japan? No, different people can choose to govern themselves under their own laws here on earth, but the law. Yeah,
but they get conquered. They've been conquered. Most of those countries have been conquered by authoritarian systems. Given a choice, if they could see the fruits of liberty, there's not a group on the world that wouldn't want it.
Right, yeah, and it's the apathy, I guess, we're all seeing it right now worldwide by the corporations, the governments, the people. It's the answer to it ultimately has to lie above the government of man. But we're always going to have the government of man, but above that, you know, we've been shown the right way, the way we're supposed to go. And honestly, it's my personal opinion that we were never supposed to know right from wrong. We were never supposed to govern ourselves. But now that we know right from wrong, we have to do what's right. And you're right, the Constitution definitely shows, a way that we can do that.
Sure. And listen, the whole Garden of Eden deal, from my perspective, it doesn't mean they were completely innocent of thoughts that we could see as sin. It's that they were not conscious of it, and they were not given the knowledge of good and evil, of that you could choose a good system or a bad system. So it was almost like a viral infection of satanic ways of being parasitic against other humans. The knowledge of good and evil is the domestication of other humans and actually stealing their free will.
Hi, I'm InfoWars reporter Leanne McAdoo, and as we age, it is inevitable that we may experience a slowdown in vitality, energy, sexual drive, and overall well-being. The reality is that in addition to the natural aging process, the experts admit that our body is continually being hit with a barrage of what's known as gender-bending chemicals, and that's just for starters. So avoiding these chemicals has always been really important to me, and that's why I was so excited to speak with Dr. Edward Group about what's really going on, specifically to find a solution to the root issue. And what I found was that as experts around the world are now revealing, core hormone levels in many men and women are dropping, but especially men. Testosterone, growth hormone, DHEA, all are being affected. Introducing InfoWars Life Super Male Vitality. fusing herbs and other essential ingredients to help support your body's natural hormone balance. Developed by Dr. Edward Group and produced at a highly accredited natural products manufacturer, Super Male Vitality is designed to aid the body in ways that may support normal testosterone levels in men. Focus on improving your sexual vitality with the stimulation of libido and sex drive. Deliver hard-hitting benefits while completely free of GMOs, gluten, and harmful ingredients. And it's all made here in the USA and supports our operation. Single men, married men, I recommend that you get a hold of InfoWarsLife.com's Super Male Vitality today, and your woman won't be disappointed.
Yesterday, if you just joined us, the Russian government came out and said that if NATO, that's the United States and Europe, Western Europe, NATO members, move missile systems, which are really designed to shoot down a Russian response to a preemptive nuke attack, that if they move those in, they may strike with nuclear weapons. Well, they didn't say they may. They said they will respond with nuclear weapons. And the Russians seem to mean it. Just like Kennedy said he would basically nuke Russia if they didn't pull their ships back that were carrying the warheads and other systems in the early 1960s to be moved to Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And we just put up on screen the Moscow Times for everybody to see. Paul Watson wrote a story about it at prisonplanet.com, picked up by drudgereport.com. Russia warns of nuclear response. Russia warns of nuclear response to U.S. global strike program. Now, you have to understand, folks, I've never been to Russia, though I'd like to visit there and many other places. I'm an American. I had both sides of my family, mother and father's side, which is extremely rare. I'm not bragging, but it's very rare. Something like 200,000 people can say they had family on the Mayflower, direct descendant, who live in the U.S. today. On both sides, it's less than 1,000 people can say that they had both sides of their family directly on the Mayflower. I mean, I'm as American as it gets. That was 400 plus years ago that the Mayflower landed here, okay? So my family goes back deeply. The Revolutionary War, the Texas Independence. If there was a revolution, a renaissance happening, some would say a tyranny happening, my bloodline goes right back through it. And that's why I grow like a plant, and just like seeds, and look just like and act just like my ancestors. It's in the blood. But it's in everyone's blood to want to be free to a certain extent. My issue is I am 100% American, 100% Americana. I mean, 400 years, that's indigenous, folks. That's a long time. There have been other people here a lot longer, obviously. And the issue is I'm sick of being called a traitor by national media. It's happened. And so-called conservative media, mainline right-wing establishment media, whenever I am against messing with Russia, starting wars with Russia. Russia's population is declining massively. They've got huge problems. They're not offensive in any way. They're not expanding. And our government and NATO is trying to overthrow the Russian government, trying to start revolutions and riots, rolling weapon systems in, putting al-Qaeda all over the southern area of southern Russia into Central Asia, publicly threatening to activate al-Qaeda to blow up the Olympics. That's in mainstream Moscow news, and the Saudi Arabians admit it. Our allies are threatening to blow up the Russians, and the Russians have had just about enough, okay? I don't go start fights. That's what it comes down to. And you're like, oh, you're for Russia. No, I'm for living and not having nuclear war. How's that sound? I'm for common sense. I mean, just because I don't like communism doesn't mean that I'm for crony capitalism and all of its corruptions and all of its exploitation. I'm for justice. When I sit here and I say that, it's not like I'm saying I'm Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. Wouldn't everybody be for not wanting to have nuclear war with Russia? Wouldn't everybody? No, these globalists want total power. They want global domination, just like Hitler. And so they will probably push us to the brink. They've already done it in 2008, almost causing a nuclear war in Georgia. And our media didn't even cover that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Russians and the Russian foreign minister said, we have moved nuclear weapons into Georgia, and we will attack the airfields where NATO troops are landing. Because foreign troops are landing to fight the Russian counter-invasion. What do? You roll nuclear weapons in. And they said, and if you respond to that, we're going to attack Europe. And if you respond to that, we're going to attack your military bases in Europe. That's standard military procedure. And if you attack that, we're going to attack the United States. And we got 10,000 warheads in ICBMs ready to launch. Topo-M missiles, you name it. I mean, and literally, folks, this was all over the British, all over the Middle Eastern, all over the Russian news, all over the Japanese news, all over the Chinese news. No one even knew Russia was saying, we're preparing for nuclear war, and rolled the medium-range missile launchers in so that they couldn't be targeted. That's why they're mobile, folks, so they can move around from, minute to minute, hour to hour, as satellites target them for I mean, it's just like nuclear war could start up any time between South Korea, China, Japan. Now, by the way, China is offensively taking over the planet with the globalists funding them. They're offensively launching blue water navies. They're offensively saying they want to nuke the U.S. preemptively. They're offensively running around. And there's no issue in the media with China being a problem. John Kerry says they're our friends. See how this is so screwed up. Russia is just kind of flopping around trying to get itself together. And the globalists are trying to overthrow it, but they've got nuclear weapons. And then meanwhile, China is just 10 times the threat Russia is, just running around doing whatever it wants. The threat, ladies and gentlemen, is the people that run our government that are endangering our entire planet. And that's what I wanted to get at here, because that's the big news on top of all the Obamacare, all of it. It shows how out of touch with reality the ruling class is. They think because they haven't been withheld or restrained by anybody yet, that that's obviously their right to keep escalating things. And that's how big wars start, folks. So I would just say to the establishment and all the people that demonize me that I work for the Vatican or I work for Israel when I'm a Protestant Christian or I work for the Easter Bunny or any of this, I work for me and my family having a future. Let's just get that straight. And I think all of us, when we get demonized, should just identify who we are. We identify for not having a nuclear war. We identify with having safe, healthy food to eat. We identify with having clean water. We identify with having justice and liberty and a good culture of honorable people. Okay. And if that's alien to new listeners, folks, I'm sorry, okay? But in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, folks. And all you got to do is open your eyes up politically, spiritually, socially, and you'll see what's going on. All right, I'm going to shut up. I said I'd go to your calls. I'm hogging time as usual. Ryan, Tom, Austin, V, Joseph, we're into all of you. Ryan, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Whenever Obama came on the air the first time to speak, he said, America, it is time for a change. Well, Alex, the way double talk works, some of the best deceptive speakers like to tell their populace that they're really hurting them while it sounds like they're helping them when they're really hurting them. And what I mean by that is, well, whenever you hear the word change, you think of, oh, we're going to change this or we're going to change that.
When you hear of reform, you think it means always good. No, you can be run over by an 18-wheeler, and that's a reform with all your bones broken. You've been reformed.
Exactly. You've been reformed into a dead casket. And but the way my brain works, Alex, what I saw that some people don't see, and this may blow your mind, but you've probably seen it because you're a really smart, articulate person. And what they do is, okay, the word change. Whenever you buy something at the store or whenever you sell something, i.e., whenever you sell your country into bondage to the globalist takeover, what do you get back to put into your pocket? To change. And it's all a divide and conquer mechanism that they're using, especially with the Obamacare. Most people, let's flash back to the 1700s. Remember the slogan, no taxation without representation? Well, Obamacare is a federally mandated tax which is imposed upon the people with a punishment of non-payment, which is taxation without representation.
And it's institutional social control, and it transfers the money to private interest in the first run-through that is patently illegal.
Yeah, well, food, medicine, and money are the three main resources that the globalists need to be able to alter our perception of reality and to basically control the universe. And what you're going to see happen, Alex, I don't mean to get all predictive on the air, but I think you're going to see a scare tactic where they're going to use a food shortage to levy the votes for either the 2014 congressional election or for the 2016 presidency. Because whenever we sell something, Alex, we start by giving away free samples, right? We know that. Well, during July, I saw this happen about 8 or 9 times on the Decepticon media mainstream news, and what they said was, according to experts, it's always according to experts. According to experts, today American food was rejected at the ports due to unsafe possibility of consumption. The food was then later rerouted to China for, okay, well, what they did, Alex, was they called our food unsafe so they could give it to China. And then we fast forward to the 3rd of July, I was watching Jay Leno, and he said, the Chinese government has now announced that it has bought Smithfield Foods, the world's largest food supplier. My question is, if the food is
they're clearly rolling out with an ad campaign throughout the culture that American food isn't safe, Chinese food is safe, when everybody knows the Chinese food and supplements, drugs, you name it, is the dirtiest in the world probably, and the most counterfeited. Just like there's a rollout still about Amazon and their drones, and everyone's saying birds will attack it, it'll crash, your dog will attack it, when the thing was all cooked up to make everybody say Amazon, 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 Amazon a billion times during the Christmas season. I mean, it's totally transparent, and then people see me talk about that, and they debate and say I'm wrong. There's no way I'm wrong. It's just absolute ignorance. You're absolutely right. So how do we turn this around?
Well, the way we can reverse engineer this, Alex, is, well, we still use the divide and conquer mechanism today. It's still taught in schools. I actually graduate from college tomorrow with an accounting degree and a minor in radio, television, communications. So I'm really good at catching continuity errors and how they stage these events. The way divide and conquer works, Alex, you'll still hear it today. They call it, well, every time the government does something, they call it something else. It's like a paradigm shift. It's like the sine wave or the cosine wave.
No, it's military technology of a wall of pure deception, because even though you know it's all a lie, you know the smoke is obscuring the view, you still can't see through the smoke. So it's an artificial reality of induced fraud wave, backed up by fraud, to where you just roll over into a catatonic state and begin going, Obama.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Let's go right back to your calls, and then I'll go into the next segment, continuing with calls, and then a huge stack of news we haven't gotten to yet on a host of fronts. Geopolitical, economic, you name it. And then former Congressman Ron Paul is scheduled to pop in at the bottom of the next hour. Let's go to Tom in Minnesota. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Alex.
Hey, brother.
Hey, I just want to let you know, up here in Minnesota, the last 2 days, on Monday and then again yesterday, KARE 11 News here covered the story about the wireless cell phone data mesh boxes here.
Really?
And, and you can go on KARE 11 and find the news story, but the ACLU has now filed a lawsuit to have the police department turn it off.
Well, I mean, I know Homeland Security pretty much nationwide, starting in big cities like New York, Boston, Seattle, is paying to put in these systems that grab all your phone data illegally. And then the police always go, oh, we turned it off. And then they never turn it off. But, yeah, I wasn't aware that was going in there in, Minneapolis, St. Paul?
Correct, sir. Yes, and I see the boxes everywhere. And now that it's made the news, I think I might just go out and partake in some extracurricular activities one of these nights.
Oh, no, you shouldn't stop an illegal federal government hijacked by foreign banks that took your tax money and put up illegal boxes to steal your data. Every time they do it, it's a felony. You shouldn't stop felons operating in the open just because they have badges and guns. You should let them steal all your data and give it to Homeland Security. Don't climb up there with a baseball bat and beat it all up wearing a mask. Don't do that. Do not resist this. Drink fluoride. Eat GMO. Die. Give the planet to the New World Order. Turn your children over to government training camps. Let them put your children on all sorts of drugs. Let them arrest your children for playing with Nerf guns in the backyard. It's normal. We're going to pull it up. I see you say it's KARE11. That's correct. What's the name of the headline? And then we'll go like, oh, loving boxes help everyone. What's the headline?
If you scroll down, it's down and it says something to the effect of cell phone data, and it shows like a hand holding a cell phone. It's one of their top stories on their homepage. And it's about a 2-minute clip, and actually the news anchors are kind of against it, which actually was a surprise.
Oh, my gosh. They don't want to live in the Soviet Union?
No, imagine that. You know, our God Obama and his wonderful Obamacare is finally not working out so well.
Well, listen, that is the good news. I'm seeing local news. I'm seeing police. I'm seeing everybody get it that, whoa, tyranny isn't fun. We don't want this. And we did find the headline. There it is. Good job, guys. We ought to give that story to a Don or Kurt or Daniels because that is national news right there. We broke this 4 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago with StoryLeak.com on them doing it. They denied it at first, then admitted it. And we got the secret documents from the city, inside the city, on how illegal it was and what they are doing, that they are surveilling everyone. So it's those documents that show it's illegal. And now we need to move forward. Then USA Today, Sunday, covered it, and then Drudge Report ended up picking it up. So, again, it's an example of how the alternative media is key to bubbling this up and forcing it to be covered.
Exactly. And if I could just ask you one quick question regarding the nascent iodine and the fluoride shield you just came out with.
Yes, sir.
I've been taking the nascent iodine now since I've gotten it, and I'm waiting for my ProPure system to get here so I can get that fluoride out. But the question I have for you is, if I order the fluoride shield, do I need to stop taking the survival shield?
You need to consult your physician, as Dr. Group and others have said, but it's actually set to be a low dose compared to even some of the other supplements that are out there. And no, it's designed so you can take them both at the same time because it's a tiny amount of nascent iodine in the fluoride shield compared to the amount of iodine, because that's all that's in there is iodine and the glycerin base in the survival shield. The survival shield is the turbocharging, and it is our best seller for the products, but the fluoride shield itself is, by the way, a 2-ounce bottle and only like 20% more. So it's really the best deal we have, and it's got the Shilajit and a bunch of other things that are shown to cause the metabolic shift, according to Dr. Group and others, to help move it out of the body, so it doesn't just kind of move around in the body once you extract it out of the tissue. So according to folks that help us develop it, it can be taken together, but there can be detoxing in the first month. I experienced it. All this stuff came out of my skin. People can look at me on TV now and say, man, this guy's been on this 3 months. We can see the difference. I mean, there's no doubt what Dr. Group developed is simply amazing. God bless you. Appreciate your call.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com. Yeah.
Judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com. Yeah.
But let's go back to your calls now. These callers are all really raising important points, and I love callers calling in because they end up bringing up local news that becomes national news because they mention it here on air, and folks then discover what's happening. They want to keep us compartmentalized. The answer is to have local news be local and international and national, and to have national news be national, international, but also local, because the human experience is the human experience regardless. And then you find what's happening here is happening in Australia. It's happening in South Africa. It's happening in Germany. It's happening in Mexico. It's happening in Canada. It's happening in Brazil. It's happening in Asia, in Japan, because it's global systems that corporations create of fraud and of manipulation. And being unaware of it is why we're in so much trouble. People are like, I don't want to know all that. It sounds like a headache. It's that mental laziness, folks, that has gotten us in the position we're in. It's fun to know how stuff works. It's fun to be informed. It's great to be part of the animating contest of liberty. And your animating contest of liberty can be different than mine. Just be involved. Just don't be a cookie cutter biological robot that's programmed from birth to do what other people want. Live. That's what life's all really about. Let's go ahead and talk to Austin in Texas, and then we'll go to V and others. Austin, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Good, brother. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. I just want to say first that long-time listener, first-time caller, and I want to thank everything that you do for us. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure win or lose, everyone's gonna remember you as a hero. But a point that I wanted to talk about was something starting about martial law, like as in when it does hit the fan, like wherever we're at, whatever the situation, whatever location we're at, like what do we do? Do we just like hunker down on where we're at, or do we like get to the streets and not start violence, but start banding with other people that are aware of what's really happening? Like what goes on once we know it's hit the fan?
I could write a book about different scenarios. You never know exactly what's going to happen. The globalists, the social engineers want to have an incremental ratcheting up of tyranny and of martial law and armored vehicles and checkpoints and face scanners and systems tracking everyone and internet kill switches. And they want to just slowly turn the heat up and beat us. But they know if we continue to mount resistance to them, and it looks like we're about to win and take the country back, they will blow up a city and say we did it. Guaranteed. They'll release a bioweapon. I mean, there's no telling. So then folks say, well, then we're totally held hostage. We can't beat them. No. If you're aware of just how bad they are and know what their tricks are, and enough people know that, it'll get to the point where they'll run an NSA algorithm. I know how they operate. I've studied how they've passed meetings and things that have been declassified or leaked. They'll say, this isn't going to fly. People aren't going to buy this. If you back al-Qaeda and launch an open attack on Syria, the Russians aren't going to back down. And so the Joint Chiefs went and told Obama you can't do it because public opinion was against it, and the military knew it was a bad operation, both morally but also on where it would probably lead. So it's not just good people that are going to turn this around. It's people that are into self-preservation.
What I just wanted to clarify was just like as far as like when it's official, when we see on the news, CNN, wherever, like breaking news, martial law has been declared, and where troops are leaving the bases into the city streets. Like that's what I really want to know. Like, what do we do if it does come down to that?
Sure.
Like,
well, I appreciate your call, sir. Let me try to answer that again. We don't know what scenario it'll be. Even if they release the bioweapon or a natural pathogen, bacterial, viral develops that's killing millions of people, if you're not in the area affected by the bioweapon, you're going to want martial law. See, it's not just that the martial law is good or bad. It's that they're preparing us for the martial law and gearing up for it and have a history of staging other precipitating events. And then they stand to gain from it because that's their main philosophy and system of control. So, let's say some white cop kills some 10-year-old black kid, and it's obviously racist and wrong, and there's video of it. There will then be a V for Vendetta type scenario with people so sick of it all that you'll end up probably having black folks riot and kill people and burn stuff first. And then people are so sick of it, even if the media tries to play it as racial division, you might even start having, whites, Hispanics, others join them in the burning and killing. You ever think about that? So there's scenarios that, because they've tried to divide us, that could backfire on them. and actually explode in ways they don't know. And that's really where the wargaming comes in. And the establishment even admits this in higher level white papers out there that we've covered. You can look up. It's just legion. That even though they've got all this Google system and NSA systems try to gauge the future and try to steer reality, because if you're aware of the trends, you can then add data and add stimuli to be able to steer it the way you want. It starts gyrating out of control, and you're unable to maintain the controlled cultural implosion. You see, they say they want to dumb us down, distract us, put us in a false reality ahead of incremental phasing out of the mass population because we're destructive, we're bad for the earth, and because they're not going to be able to control 7, 8, 10, 20 billion people, already 7.5 billion. So I get the elite saying they're sitting on top of time bomb and sitting on top of something. The problem is they've helped create this, and clearly with my own organic computer, I can analyze history, spectrums, common sense, and tell that what they've done to be in control has actually created the greater threat by removing the normal inhibitions and programming in the public towards good social order, because they were in a revolution against good social order, seeing it as a threat to their hegemonic rule, but now they've destroyed the very underpinning of societal stability. But then enters the larger spiritual nature of these systems, in that at the base of it, they can intellectually claim why they're doing what they're doing, but the fruits are entirely different. And at the heart of it is a love of degeneracy, a love of betrayal, a love of failure, a love of collapse, a love of all the curses that follow the manifestation of a Babylonian system. So you ask me questions about what do you do when there's troops on the streets. If the troops are maintaining order from groups that are running around killing people, you support them. If the troops are quarantining cities to keep a bio-release out, even if the globalists released it, we're with the troops, they're with us. We don't want to die from the bio-release. We want it contained. So you support them. If the troops, though, stage a bio-attack, or somebody else does, and they use that to say, turn your guns in ahead of us coming into your area, then you know it's predatory, and you have to try to stay out of their way, get to a rural area, and try to not engage them. Because it does nothing to the New World Order to kill a bunch of troops. If they stage a revolution, nuke a city, say the Patriots did it, come after the Patriot leaders and try an open coup or putsch, because they're not, the globalists don't even go with the best plans. I hate to even lay out what I think they would do, because sometimes it's better than what they'd even come up with. They're very unimaginative because they're so evil. If they just try an open roundup of the Patriot leaders, well, then you know what's happening, and you know what to do, folks. You've got to fight back against the dumb cops that come in the armored vehicles, against the military. They're engaged in treason. They're trying to take you and your family to a FEMA camp. They're trying to take you for re-education. That's in the official Army manuals. Try to avoid them. Try to stay out of their way. But a lot of military people intend, while you are trying to get out of the way, they're going to go attack. And that's the consensus. And I'm just, listen, this is so sophisticated that as a general in the info war, you have to understand I cannot sit there and play out the endless permutations of war games for you on air. If you want to see, it's Army Regulation 210-35, Civilian Inmate Labor Program. That's just one of the programs. You can look up the re-education camp documents. Just type in Army Manual re-education camp. They even used the Soviet term re-education camp. And all of this troops and police, for one gunman or whatever, and strutting around is all like a dog hiking its leg, urinating on you to show dominance. And, we roll over and show our belly. And the cops know that deep down. They think they're on top because they're in a hierarchical situation. So they themselves are more controlled than anybody. We're going to have to lead. And listen, the most important thing is that's FM 3-39.40, Internment Resettlement Operations, 2010. If you want to see the re-education camp for how they process your Social Security number, how they break you and your family up, I mean, I don't want to physically have a war, and I do a trillion times more speaking out than I would do as one combatant, as they would call me. But at the same time, just as a man, I can guarantee, I know how we all are. It's not that we are afraid to get a shooting war going. It's just we want to win it the other way and are very sad about where all this is going. But once the bullets start flying, once the triggers start pulling, Americans love to fight more than anybody in the world. And we love to kill once we're in the right. I mean, I'm a killing machine. Any man who's got their head screwed on straight is a killing machine. And I don't even want to think about those areas of my mind. But anybody hurts my family, anybody messes with me, anybody tries to run some Soviet crap, we are going to absolutely go haywire. And everybody knows that, by the way. So everybody trying to start war with the Russians, trying to start war here, you globalists aren't going to be safe in your bunkers. And let me tell you, whether you're in the police, the military, I don't care. Our enemy collectively are these crazy people. They all want us to fight with each other. This is a joke. So he gets me to start thinking about what I'll do during this. I don't know, because there's a lot of different scenarios. I'm going to try to stay out of a fight. I'm going to try to stay out of trouble. But if it's a war they want, it's a war they'll get. They start the fight, they'll get a response. And they know they won't have the moral high ground if they do that. So what the technocrats are going to do is carry out atrocities in our name. So what do? We inoculate psychologically the fact that false flag is historical, is the majority of the attacks, and that they have the motive, the means, the capacity, the history of doing it. They are the prime suspects of any event when it transpires. That's what I'm saying. And everyone in the system better have a debate about this right now, because I know 98% of you are good men and women in the system. I don't care if it's public, private, corporate. And let me tell you, just like the Joint Chiefs went to Obama and said, we're not going to launch a war with Syria and have a fight with Russia. This is very immoral, and we started this with al-Qaeda, and we're backing al-Qaeda. Don't do it. And that's the kind of thing that's going to save us, folks. That's the kind of thing that when the Joint Chiefs came to Kennedy, it was the other way around in 1961, 62, and they said, we want to preemptively nuke Russia. This has been declassified. And Kennedy had been pro-war, a big hawk, as a veteran. He's like, I'm against communism, and I'm not going to start a war with them. That's evil. That's what Dr. Strangelove, the movie, is basically all about, real stuff that happened, minus the attack actually being launched by LeMay, who's General Jack T. Ripper in the film. Stanley Kubrick's black satire masterpiece. And in that, you see the mindset of these people. And they came to Kennedy and said, we want to launch a preemptive nuclear war on them, and we want to stage some terror attacks in America to do it. And Kennedy said, you're fired. You're fired. Basically, Peter Sellers, repeats it where they're sitting in the war room and they want him to launch a preemptive attack on Russia since the bombers have already been launched under Plan R by General Jack T. Ripper, a.k.a. Jack the Ripper. And they go, come on, sir, it's already been committed. Don't think about yourself in the history books. When the president says, I don't want to go down in history as the greatest killer since Hitler. We're going to come back and go to V, Wesley, Jody, Jim, and others ahead of Ron Paul. Briefly, remember this broadcast is listener-supported. We try to bring you high-quality products. You can't get the 20% off on the Pro Pure water filters anymore with the promo code WATER20, but you can still get a great deal on the lowest price with promo code WATER, just the promo code WATER. They are the gravity-fed stainless steel filters that blow away the competition. We have side-by-side comparisons. You can take water right out of a pond, a lake, you name it, filters it right through, but it also takes out the fluoride, the glyphosates, all of it. This is the best at the lowest price, promo code WATER. They still haven't taken promo code WATER20 down. Fine, 5 more minutes. I told them this morning, take it down. Whatever, you can still do it for a few more minutes. That's not a sales tactic, though it, I guess, is now, just by evidence that they haven't taken it down. You can still do WATER20. I just told the manufacturer I'd quit doing it today, or yesterday. WATER20, you can still do it, 20% off on all the great Pro One, Pro Pure systems at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Now scientists are saying that the universe collapsed back into the Big Bang tomorrow. And then another day they say it's going to keep expanding for 50 billion more years. The truth is they don't know anything. Science is being turned on its head every day, not every week. And the truth is we're living in the middle of an incredible, wondrous mystery. And my greatest regret is that we spend so much time focused in on what the globalists are doing and the control freaks are doing because we have to or they'll ruin our lives and ruin our planet instead of marveling at the creation all around us. I just want to see humanity succeed. If folks ask me what I stand for, we need to tell people what we stand for versus what the technocrats stand for. They say humanity's ugly and bad, and they're going to get rid of us and merge with machines. That's the official policy of these people. That's the official idea of Ray Kurzweil that heads up Google's Futurist project. He's on their board. Does that mean that everybody at Google's bad? No. Does it mean everybody at Microsoft is bad just because Bill Gates is certifiably a New World Order eugenicist? No. But the directive from the top is corrupt and bad. Same thing with the police departments, all of it. There's Paul Watson's article, The Dark Side of Ray Kurzweil's Transhumanist Utopia, the elite's obsessive pursuit of immortality and the new tool of class enslavement. Let's go back to your calls. V in Nevada, thanks for calling in.
Earnest salutations, my fellow American. Please bear with me. I just had a major dental surgery. Okay.
I hear you.
I guess I could start out like everyone else and say, "Oh, Alex, I love what you do, and thank you so much," and yada, yada, yada. Hear me out. I hate what you do because it's a weather vane of sorts to me. It's a gauge of, the slow creeping tyranny that each and every one of us are basically becoming oblivious to every day,
I agree with you.
Anyway.
It's almost like I'm play-by-play chronicling, and it can almost demoralize people, and I'm almost acclimating people. And that is a side effect of what I do. But overall, I believe in humanity and that people will rise against the tyranny and not just accept it. But it undoubtedly, with some people, it demoralizes them because they're timid spirits. Go ahead.
I'm right with you. And, I agree 100%. I love you. From a black man to a white man, believe it or not. I love you. Okay?
Believe it or not, we're all just human beings.
We are.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to get people to see every day. I got people who are kind of old school and they're thinking this and that. I don't want to get sidetracked. Okay, look. There is a local paper here. This needs to go national. That's why I called Alex the Megaphone Jones. Okay? There is a story here. I need one of your guys. I know you got info hounds there. That's why I call them. That's why I call myself. Have them go to the NSA spy grid. Internet search engine, google.com. Put in Mandela Family Charade, CHARADE. Okay? It's going to take you, it's a local newspaper here called Guardian LV. That's going to be the first part of the URL. Alex, in this article, breaking news, baby. In this article, this young woman reports that Nelson Mandela was reported dead back in June. Okay, they had been sending people over to South Africa.
No, actually, sir, stay there. I'm going to hold over with you, and then Ron Paul's coming up after this break, and then I'll go to the other calls after Ron Paul leaves at the bottom of the hour. I saw it in mainstream news that people have been demanding to see him for months, and that there was a big thing saying he'd been dead for a while.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com. Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high-performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants. So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Yeah, I remember seeing this months ago that no one's seen Nelson Mandela. No one was allowed to go in and see him. There was a big debate about whether he was alive or not, and they do this a lot when famous world leaders die. The Soviets would do this, and these are communists, so they act the same. They would hide the fact that they'd been dead for a while. But you've also saw speculation that Castro's been dead a bunch, too, so it doesn't always mean that. But I saw this last week and this week. I did see it in foreign press that family had been demanding to see him, others had been demanding to see him, and then it was that they couldn't cover it up anymore, so they just suddenly announced he passed in the night, no details of why. And just the pieces I've got and the way communists operate, they follow a handbook. You have the article here out of your local paper, and it's got basically the same stuff I'd seen. I'm glad you raised this. So tell folks what the article's about, and we're going to get it linked up on Infowars.com right now.
You bet, and I could not be prouder to be handing it to Alex Jones himself, sir. Check this out. Reading into the article, the young woman has come under fire here, too, in other local news. I've been looking into it. They had a denial of service attack. They had a denial of service attack perpetrated on them, like probably the same day that they tried to break this news. That entire news website was shut down for 3 days. And they
no, I know the Guardian Express. It seems like a pretty good publication. Go ahead.
They're pretty good. You know, they break some kind of juicy stuff. You know, I'm an info hound, man. I'm going to look at the truth. But they trace the denial of service attack back to South Africa. There is your caramelizer, your crystallizer. This is probably one of the single most capped and covered news stories ever. Now, I've been digging. For some reason or another, right after Obama showed up there is when the machine was shut off. Now, if you look in this article, it says that the family was debating over some kind of estate or something like that. They were having a legal, tie-up, and that Mandela wasn't basically there to make the decisions. So they had to keep him alive because you can't have these sorts of legal proceedings over an estate and stuff if a person is dead. So they've basically been pumping air into a corpse in order to keep him alive so that the judicial, I'm sorry, oh God, this sounds terrible, so that the legal proceedings could, continue. They can continue to fight over, what's going on. Now, I don't know what happened once Obama showed up, okay, and now he's been, supposedly the life support's been turned off or whatnot. Me and my sister are very passionate about this kind of thing. And she found even that they had the casket. They just recently put the casket out in public. And I will bet you every gun in my arsenal, and I love my guns, that they've got people out there walking around in empty caskets. I promise you, Mandela's been dead for about 6 months probably. And the fact that this site was attacked, you know how these globalists work. Whenever something's on the level and it's going to inform people, they come out and get it. So the denial of service is traced back to South Africa, and I really just want to have you completely read that article. I want Alex Jones to do me the honor. Read that article.
I remember that hearing about people saying, where is he? He's dead, and a controversy in South Africa, people can pull those articles up. Watson or somebody could do an article about this. So there was definitely a controversy, and then they just finally said he was dead. And people will do this so that they can continue to operate and sign his name and do things. I mean, this sounds like how a bunch of murdering communists would operate. So standard procedure. Thank you very much for reminding us of that story. We'll look into it. Very, very interesting. All right, former Congressman Ron Paul's scheduled to be joining us. Coming up, all this and more straight ahead, Infowars.com. Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, You in Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com. Let's go ahead and talk to Jody in North Carolina. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. I'm from North Carolina, so I just wanted to let you know that North Carolina, the way I was raised, we say thank you anyway. I know you don't want us to say that, but I also wanted you to know that I'm also InfoWar-hound. I'm out here constantly, doing my research and studying. And at first, when I first heard about you, I'm a first-time caller, but I heard about you about a year ago from a friend of mine, and I decided to check you out. I had been growed up on a little bit of Rush Limbaugh, and a little bit of Glenn Beck and others, and a little bit of Savage Nation. But I listen to your show. I'm a truck driver. I drive up and down these highways. I do in-home delivery out of High Point, North Carolina. And just wanted to let you know, man, that I'm out here. I let these customers know about you. After my research, outside of God, I believe in you, brother. I believe in your cause. I believed it for 10 years myself before I found you, which is kind of like a blessing in my life because you opened up a whole new perspective on things that I had overlooked because I was also dumbed down with this mainstream media and society. And after opening up everything and kind of just revealing your Pandora's box and what was going on, I seen it was the truth. And I think the hardest thing for me is trying to go to my family members. God, it seems like they're the ones that don't want to believe in it.
Oh, listen, brother, I know the feeling. I'll be around family members and people that aren't really listeners, and they're nice folks, and they're somewhat awake compared to the average person, but you almost feel like you're doing bad things to tell them about bad stuff that's happening. It's almost like impolite, but we don't have a future if we don't. We owe it to them to admit just how bad things are. Because, again, as good people, or as just folks that aren't overtly evil, none of us are perfect, we are blind to just how bad people are, and that it's limitless what they'll do. So I totally understand what you're saying and what you're getting at, and that's why I personally, I don't really beat family over the head with this info if they don't already know what's going on. I reach out to folks just randomly everywhere and tell them what's happening. And it's certainly working. There is an undoubted awakening happening. And Ron Paul concurs, I think for the first time ever, he said we're getting close to a turning the tide or close to a tipping point. He now thinks we're right there. And I agree with Dr. Paul, who's a pretty smart cookie. So what else did you want to throw out there, Jody? I appreciate you promoting the show to folks, because that's how we're going to expose these people.
Absolutely, sir. I agree 100%. I just want to let you know also that I go to customers' homes every day. I deal with 40, 50 customers every trip. I'm all over this country, all 48 states. So I get to see a lot of these things you're talking about as I'm doing my travels here. And I have noticed how, things are changing. I've been looking out for the armored vehicles, the things like that, the sheriff's departments and things. I go through Dallas. I lived in Dallas for 3 years, man. I love Texas. If I ever retire, told my wife it's where I want to live at. Would love to live right next door to you. Man, you're like my biggest hero. But anyway, outside of that stuff, I just want to say, maybe you could tell me how I could convince my wife, who's an intelligent woman, 4.0 GPA graduated, high honors. She's in the medical field. They do science research study on like the first stage 1 and phase 1 of.
No, I get it. She's a smart lady. I mean,
yeah.
What should I convince her of?
Well, I just wanted to know if you had 30 seconds to tell my wife or to try to convince my wife of what's going on in our country today and to really wake up and be a part of my team and the InfoWar team, the team that's driving for the truth in the right direction, what would you say?
All right, well, I appreciate your call. Let me just say this to your wife, Jody. Thank you, Jody. I can't make her do research on the topics we're covering. And I notice a lot of professionals that are really smart are some of the hardest people to wake up to this because they know there's problems in society, but they see it as almost positive that they overlook all that and just move forward and take care of business, as Elvis Presley would say. And you certainly have to take care of business, and you can't let all this tyranny get you down and stop you from living a life. But you've got to understand historically, when corruption builds to this level, it brings down civilizations and horrible tragedies happen. And tyranny is a norm in history, not an exception. And we've got a really bad batch of tyranny cooking up in the kitchen. And it needs to be thrown out. And so I understand statistically that husbands and wives don't listen to each other as much as they'd listen to a random salesman at the door. And so I guess I'm a random salesman at the door selling freedom. And I would just say to Jody's wife that there's so much admitted evil by the criminals that hide in government and major corporations that if I tried to just list a few things, it would make my head spin. I mean, there's thousands of declassified, and I use this a lot because everybody knows this, lethal studies that were killing people carried out by our government right through the last decade from the 30s. And no one ever got in trouble for any of it. And that's because there's a eugenicist-based power structure hiding within Western governments. Hitler was only one eruption of that went too far for even the establishment. And so I understand that this stuff's scary and it's easy to just deny it. But I'll assure you that it is real and that I am actually wrong about a lot of this. It's worse than I normally have thought. So it's not that I'm exaggerating. It's the other way around. And I wish every day I was wrong, ma'am. I wish every day this wasn't true. But I have the textbooks. I have the documents. I keep plugging this every day just because it's been on my desk the last few months. I need to put it back on the bookshelf. Ecoscience, it's free online. It's been scanned online about how they put stuff in the water to reduce our IQ and sterilize us. The White House regulations are currently talks about, dumbing us down and breaking us up and having us fight with each other. I mean, these are social engineers. And you ignore all of this at your own peril. Dan Bongino, the Secret Service agent, senior agent over Obama's foreign trips, basically has said it's worse than anyone knows. He had to sign agreements not to talk about it, obviously. And it is, last night, I talked to a Secret Service connection. It doesn't matter. It's just, see, I don't even want to get into this. It's just so crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's occult stuff going on. And we're in trouble. I mean, that's all I can say. And ma'am, I know you probably feel like, well, what can you do about it? So why not just deny it? And so fine, just deny it. But down the road, when things get so bad you can't deny it anymore, then at least get your heart right with God. Now, I said I'd take a lot of calls. I just spent 7 minutes on that one subject or longer. Let's go to Wesley real fast in Mississippi. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. I want to say that the new coffee and the Nation Iodine are amazing. I love the coffee. I'm actually drinking some right now. And to Jody, if your wife doesn't believe this stuff, it's because she hasn't taken the time to look into this stuff. That's the only way you can come to that conclusion. If you take 30 minutes to look into this stuff, research New World Order, research Illuminati, research all this conspiracy, and there's no way you can come away from it without realizing it's the truth. And I want to commend you, Alex, because there's so many Christians that are blind to this evil. And yeah, I know you don't like to accept the praise and everything, but at least, I mean, I'm surprised you mentioned stuff like the Nephilim and the Book of Enoch and this stuff, because that's what this stuff is. That's what Kurzweil and Hugo de Garis, that's what they're all talking about when they're talking about hybridization and transhumanism and the singularity they're all trying to come to.
They're talking about the same stuff that happened in the days of Noah.
Exactly what it is, because that's what Jesus said. The days of Noah, that's what it's going to be like. When the end times come, when his return will be, is like it was in the days of Noah. What was going on in the days of Noah? Well, the sons of God were coming down and having sex or genetically modifying human beings to create giants, which no church will ever talk about, the giants. No church ever explains why Goliath was, 9 feet tall, while Aga Bashan was 18 feet tall, while in Amos, they say the Amorites were, the tall.
No, I know, and that's actually what the occultists now, even mainline literature believes the Anunnaki, all this. If I don't get into it, but the elite, and I don't cover stuff I can't prove, but you see the movie Prometheus? That's an Anunnaki. 9-foot tall guy. That's what they're telling us we came from. And the Bible says, no, that's who came here to manipulate us, and that's basically, the fallen angels. And I don't get into all that because the media picks up on it. I just cover... You look at why they're doing all this engineering, why they think they're God. The elite are into this themselves. What's that term that they say we were seeded by aliens? That's like Harvard even believes, and MIT, transpermia. What's that term? What is it? Panspermia. Yeah, that's in the piece I did with Aaron Dykes. It's excellent on Secrets of Prometheus Leaked. Good to hear from you, sir. And again, whether that's real or not, that's what they think, okay? Skull and bones, all of it. And they think they're in touch with these entities. That's what demon conjuring and all that stuff is, folks, that every culture gets into. And the demons say, take your kid up on a pyramid and chop their heart out. I mean, every culture went to kill their kids so these creatures would give them power. I don't know if that's real or not. But as a sociologist, as an anthropologist, as an archaeologist, as a lay researcher, I look at this and go, why does every culture do this? Well, they tell you why in the movie Prometheus, which is a religious tract promoting by the transhumanists that, of course, they don't think it's evolution and all this Darwin stuff, that we came from this. And then some bad gods were going to come back and destroy the earth because they'd mixed their genetics with us and they didn't like that. But the good aliens stopped it all. I mean, they're just telling you the story of the devil and the snake and all of it in that movie. Super heavy, folks. Super heavy. I don't know if any of this is real. I know the Federal Reserve's private, and they tell me it's governmental. By the way, he mentioned it. Look, I got to fund my operation. I need fuel. It's expensive to build an operation like this, and we need capital in case we get sued or attacked to defend ourselves. And you've done that so we can expand in the face of the New World Order fearlessly. Thank you for your prayers. My favorite brand of coffee, took me years to find out how to get it directly from the farmers. We put it out. Everybody that tries it loves it. It's a medium roast, high mountain, Arabica, shade grown, and it's even better than Guatemalan. Guatemalan been my favorite. Go over the border, the Mexicans even better. They think because the soils aren't played out, and it's grown totally organically. InfoWarsLife.com for our 2 different Patriot blends, including the one with mushrooms for immune boost. It's very fairly priced for a pound of this lightly or medium roast coffee. We've got it without the mushrooms and with the mushrooms. It's excellent. Most of the coffee gives me headaches or heartburn. That's another reason I like this. It doesn't give me headaches or heartburn. I don't know why it's my favorite coffee. Never thought about putting out coffee until my wife, like 5 years ago, said, you should put up Wake Up America coffee and say Jones for it. And then I actually tracked down how to get it and did it. And that helps support our operation. The Survival Shield Nation Iodine, we have plenty of that in supply. And you can give it as gifts to your family for detoxifying and protecting from the radiation that goes into the thyroid. with all this Fukushima garbage, it's more important than ever, and it just really gives me a brain boost, which is what Dr. Grip said it would do. We have maiden1776.com. It's also on InfoWarsStore.com with the news, limited edition, George Washington, the answer to 1984, 1776 bronze and nickel belt buckles that are custom 1 through 500, and then that's it. We've got the Made in America T-shirts with Liberty messages. This is just the introductory round of this at maiden1776.com. That just takes you right to the page on the shopping cart that has it, and that's how we fund our operation. And you can still give it as Christmas gifts. Last year, we had to have the orders in by the 17th to guarantee delivery in the U.S. It's by the 19th this year. You'll get it before Christmas, the day before Christmas. I recommend you order now, though, to make sure you get it all earlier. The apparel, the ball caps, all of it, everything at maiden1776.com is made in America. Some of the other stuff's made in South America and, everywhere else. I'm not against giving those folks jobs, but the way they have it set up, they can never get out of poverty at it. So we're moving towards Made in America. Everything at maiden1776.com is Made in America. We got golf shirts, you name it. I mean, we're talking about shirts costing me, I was corrected, $13 to $15 for some of these shirts that we sell for $24.95. At a store like Dillard's, you'd pay $100 for a golf shirt like this. So it's premium, designer, Made in America, golf shirts, you name it, for $24.95. You absolutely cannot beat that deal. Here, scroll down and I'll show them. By the way, I listed the price on these. I want to lower the price on those ball caps. I didn't see that they were that much. Want to find out how much? Scroll down. All right, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I see some of the prices on there. I'm gonna lower some of the prices on those right after the show because that's not exactly. I get so busy and I run everything around here that I can't make all the decisions. And everybody does a great job, but I'm going to have the prices on some of those shirts lowered. But they're not even that much compared to what designer stuff is. In fact, they're about half off even at the price they are now. But my main mission of putting this out is to take back the culture, too. I'm seeing so many pro-gun T-shirts around Austin, including our T-shirts. I went to a Megadeth concert, an Iron Maiden concert a few months ago, and literally, I don't know, 50 to 100 InfoWars T-shirts, but that wasn't it. That's not why I got excited. I saw all these other come and take it in Latin, Bolon Labe shirts. We're going to come out with a bunch of those under the 1776, Made in 1776 brand. And I just saw Patriot stuff everywhere, and now I go to other cities and see it. We are really a giant minority that's growing towards being a majority. And I don't care whether you're black or white, old or young, man, I really like it when I see you wearing a Molon Labe shirt. I identify with you. We're on the same page. We are in the same tribe of liberty. Don't you see, that's the secret to beating the globalists. They want a fake collectivism of race or all this stuff. How about a individual collectivism of individuals coming together for liberty? And so that's what this is all about. Maiden1776.com or 888-253-3139. We'll be right back on the other side with your phone calls for Jim and others. Stay with us.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
While denying that there's geoengineering going on and changing of the climate with the patents added to the jet fuel, so even the airlines don't even know what's going on in most cases. They have all these so-called experts all over the news promoting geoengineering and children's textbooks that we've been showing you for a decade under federal curricula. There's literally scores of them teach. Oh, we added to jet fuel barium salt aluminum dioxide to put up sunscreen to protect us from global warming. You can look that up. Textbooks teach kids about chemtrailing. So there's a giant, last time I checked, $5 billion a year, just Department of Energy with one group. And then look, Stephen Colbert, government likely covering up chemtrail conspiracy. So they have an expert on their quote saying we need to geoengineer to save the earth because of climate change. And then Colbert goes, what if the government is already doing this and not telling us about it? But still, it's all in the context of a joke. Just like, oh, what if the NSA is really spying on us 15 years ago? And I'm like, here's the documents. Oh, shut up, nut. I mean, it's absolute. But people go, I don't see any documents on chemtrails because they're not called chemtrails. It's called geoengineering programs. high-altitude aerosol programs, stuff like that. You type that in, you'll get it all. Patents, how they do it, where they're doing it. And then all these kooks point up at regular condensation trails and go, look, that's it. So there's also disinfo on the other side, but it's going on, boys and girls. You know, when I was a kid, condensation trails went away in seconds or minutes. They didn't stay there for hours and turn the sky gray. Look at this. And it goes on. The video's up on Infowars.com. We'll probably cover this on the nightly news tonight. It's pretty darn important. That's at Infowars.com story up there, breaking all of that down. And some of the other news, Rahm Emanuel to fast 24 hours in support of immigration reform. They mean totally bringing in unlimited numbers of people to vote to take all of our money and take all of our guns and enslave us. That is the public plan. Rahm Emanuel, who's, I don't have anything against the Israelis, folks, but I mean, he was in the Israeli military. He is an Israeli firster, just like the new Fed head they want. And it's like having this French communist as the head economist for Obama. I mean, our country is just half the news anchors are from England. I mean, they're just getting us used to nothing but foreigners running our lives. And I mean, Rahm Emanuel is a Chicago mob boss pig. He is a big, disgusting piece of trash. And I'm so sick of him. I mean, he's just a miscreant trash bag who wants our guns while he's got bodyguards, and I'm sick of it. Jim in Bulgaria. I didn't see that call. Thanks for holding. Sorry, Jim, to make you hold. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Jones.
Hey, buddy.
I like to say, I want you to say hi to your new future InfoWars reporter.
All right, brother. We got about a minute and a half, though. Thank you. Yes, tell us.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got to be fast. Okay, well, you're an inspiration to me, and I kind of like to make a joke here a little bit and say that you're the reason why I left my friends and family, and I moved out of the United States, and I came here to Bulgaria to prepare for this worldwide economic collapse and world war. But, of course, it's, it's true. I mean, you had this other person, this Jody's wife. My wife, she was like a zombie. I mean, for years and years, I used to tell her about this stuff, and she just couldn't get it. So I had to leave. I had to leave her, and I had to leave everybody. And here I am. I'm in Bulgaria, and I just wanted to say that, in the future, when all these Christians and Jews that are being killed, I'm being put here, so I don't want to say where I am, but they can come here and they can be safe in northern Bulgaria. I have this place here that I'm preparing with food, water.
Well, brother, that's exciting. And, yeah, upload videos to YouTube from Bulgaria. Anybody can go out and independently report and say, as an affiliate, I'm reporting for Infowars.com. For liability, it doesn't mean, because people can go set us up, that you actually work for us. You can just say, I'm here reporting independently for Infowars.com. And if it's good, we'll play it right here. We need your help, folks. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? Well, there you see it on screen. Congressman wants to bring Obama to court for not faithfully executing laws. And you can see a little doodle I just did there, a little side issue. But Congressman Tom Rice of South Carolina, Republican, is sponsoring a resolution in the House of Representatives that would, if adopted, direct the legislative body to bring a civil action for declaratory or injunctive relief to challenge certain policies and actions taken by the executive branch. And he basically goes on to say that he's acting as a dictator. I'm really a big fan of Congressman Tom Rice now. I'll try to get him on, guys. That is exactly what I expect to start seeing happening. Here's another one. After they put all the chemicals in the food and water to destroy the sperm count, scientists create robotic sperm to help with fertilization and drug delivery. That's out of the London Independent. Let's go to your calls, as many as I can. Let's jam them in here. I'm pretty good about taking calls. Just let folks talk for a long time so we run out of time. Mike in Denver, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex. How's it going today, buddy?
Good, brother.
Good. I just wanted to tell you we're having a First Amendment rally for a cake shop owner that was found guilty of discrimination because he wouldn't make a same-sex cake for a gay couple.
Well, those people have a right to not shop there. And I haven't heard about this. Is this in the news yet?
Yeah, it's in the news. It happened. He refused them in July, and then they brought a suit against him, and the judge said he couldn't discriminate, but the administrative judge didn't fine him, so now he can't appeal it.
But I mean, again, I can see the point of saying, why not just make somebody's cake? But next it'll be, I mean, what if he doesn't agree with, say, Catholics or Muslims? Doesn't want to make a Muslim cake? People can disagree with what he's doing, but they should allow folks, especially if it's not a big chain, to, have their own rights. I mean, look at how they're trying to make Hobby Lobby basically, stay open on Sundays or pay for abortions when they don't want to do that, and it's owned by a Christian. So this is really, in the name of liberty, they're creating a tyranny.
If you want to look up Lakewood, Colorado, cake shop gay problem, they should check it out, but we got to stop it somewhere.
Well, it says no right to refuse gay couples wedding cake. And it says let them eat cake, folks out there protesting him. And it goes on to say, if you're going to sell wedding cakes in Colorado, you have to sell them to everyone who comes into your shop. You can't pick and choose among customers based upon your belief that some weddings are immoral. Well, I mean, if you have a religious reason, this is just never going to end. I mean, and again, folks, why don't these people worry about fluoride in the water that's attacking everybody? It's just constantly make people, it's just incredible. Let's jam in one more caller. Thanks, Mike. Let's talk to Richard in Pennsylvania. But you can't have a nativity scene at the military base, though. But you can have a gay cake. See, it's all selective here. Go ahead, Richard. You're on the air.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be racist or anything like that, Hey, John Adams said the Constitution was extorted through the grinding necessities of reluctant people. And, he knew what he was talking about. He lived through it, had Alexander Hamilton threatening the state of New York to separate the city from the state if they didn't go along. And Rhode Island was threatened to be treated as an independent state and taxed out the yin-yang with any business with other states. And you had the amendments offered up as part of that extortion process. Oh, just sign here and later on we'll pass these amendments and it'll be a vast sweeping prohibition against government tyranny, And here we are, with the 16th Amendment, create the IRS, which expands government over us, doesn't limit it.
Well, when I say the Constitution, I mean the 1798 type Constitution. It's not perfect either. I like the Bill of Rights, which was the answer to the Constitution.
Read the 16th Amendment, and it's in direct contradiction of Article 1, Section 9, that says Congress will not have the power to lay and collect taxes. It's just... No,
I hear you. I'm out of time. Sorry to all the other callers. Thank you, Richard. Or Richard's next. We were just talking to Richard. One time to go to Paul, Danny, and Alex and others. Great job to the crew. Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. And the nightly news is tonight, 7 o'clock with myself and the rest of the InfoWars crew. I got a comedy piece coming up tonight on the news.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.